for me, being with the king of New York in the studio, it's like, I found out that there is a king in New York, and I'm going to go onto his podcast, Pretty cool, the king of New York.
Did it change your life?
I've been in motorsport a long time, and F1 was known here, but nobody followed it. Out of the blue, and yes, it changed. I forget that I've got a mic on, and I say stuff I shouldn't be saying. I didn't watch any of it. I don't watch it. No, I don't watch it. No. It is a show business, Have they really staged anything? No. We want just this
Sure.
big hypes, big short hypes, That is what they want. That is what you're giving them. To set up an F1 team, out of your kitchen with a business plan and then go to a race, it's pretty cool. Miami has become like it was there forever. I went on with the Canadians, Montreal Canadiens, 2 years ago. They invited me to go. We went on the ice for an hour. One of my, if not the best hour in the last 10 years I had in my life.
Way. Wow. Morning, Jay. We're back here at Club 30 for another episode. You had a good week?
Great week. How about you?
Fantastic week.
Awesome. Before we get going, I want to thank our audiences on Spotify and YouTube for watching. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We've noticed. And if you like what you see, like and subscribe.
Love that.
Yeah.
Let's get into F1. Again, we had Zach Brown on a couple of seasons ago. We've done a couple of trips together, watching racing, and you go way back in terms of your passion for the sport.
Yeah, this whole Club 30 gig is really turning into half hockey, half F1, and I'm not mad about it.
You're not mad about it.
No, I've been a fan for a long time, and it makes me happy that you're now a fan because we can do that together too.
Yeah, I think that the show Drive to Survive really opened the eyes for me when it comes to F1 and what goes into it and the preparation, the details, the drama.
Yeah.
And one of the fan favorites from Drive to Survive is our guest today, Guenther Steiner.
Yeah. In an F1 world that has built its image over the years around like glamour and sexiness and billionaires and yachts and jets, Guenther has really emerged from the Netflix series Drive to Survive as like the most relatable hero, right? He's kind of the anti-team boss where he says what's on his mind and he's unfiltered and curses a lot. And I think that, like in any story, whether it's the Four Nations tournament that happened this past winter, once you show the personality, like a real personality, like the Brady to Chuck, then you kind of find your way as a new fan to like, I can relate to that. And I think Guenther's like the perfect example in F1 to be relatable.
We touched on it with Zach Brown. You just getting to know just what you're saying, that the drivers or the people working behind the drivers make you care for them.
Yeah.
And when you care for someone, you tend to watch it more, right?
Totally.
Same thing goes with hockey or soccer or football, whatever it is. As a fan, when you get to know them, you want to watch it more. Yeah. And also, obviously, with the show, you start to understand it better, which is helpful. Again, there's a lot that goes into driving an F1 car.
Yeah, and most importantly is the passion. And I think today's guest, Guenther, embodies the passion of motorsports. And I'm excited to see where this one goes.
Let's bring him in.
Great.
They built the first American Formula One team from scratch, becoming one of the most recognizable figures in motorsport. From rallying to Formula One, his journey has been as bold as it is groundbreaking. Welcome to Club 30, Guenther Steiner.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I need to start as well here, Whatever you said there about me, for me, being with the king of New York in the studio, it's like, I found out that there is a king in New York, and I'm going to go onto his podcast, Pretty cool, the king of New York, So, no, thanks for having me, guys.
It's great. So what brings you to New York City, other than hanging with us here at Club 30?
That was the only reason why I got here, No, I'm ambassador for Miami GP, and we have been in a few studios with a few TV stations, just to send a message, about Miami GP is coming up in beginning of May, so the people get aware of it and how great of a Grand Prix it is, and I don't know if you guys are coming or not, but you should
I was
be coming.
there last year. I had a great time. I mean, it's very Miami, but I loved it. And I mean, me and Jay, we've been to a couple races together. Jay, you're a huge F1 fan from before it exploded in the U.S.
I'm one of those get off my lawn, don't change it. I like the old way, but I still appreciate the Netflix effect.
Because traditionalist, don't want change. Don't want change.
Exactly.
But speaking of Netflix, I mean, you've been in motorsport for 30 years. How much did your life change when Netflix came in and really made it mainstream in the U.S. at least? Did it change your life?
Yeah, it changed, and it's almost 40 now.
Almost 40.
I'm 60 next month. In 2 months.
Oh, wow.
I'm an old man. So I'm in motorsport
since.
Great.
Since.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Was it the hair and makeup before?
Yeah. They tried, but no chance. No. I've been in motorsport a long time, and it changed. I moved to the States 18 years ago, and F1 was known here, but nobody followed it. That was the strange thing, people, I come from F1, yeah, we know what it is, but I don't actually care about it, And then this effect came. A lot of people call it the Drive to Survive Netflix effect, but out of the blue, and yes, it changed because it was quite late in my career, that it changed, and it wasn't something I was aspiring to, I was happy to work in motorsport. I love racing cars, and then all this came along, but in the end, it didn't change me. I mean, I'm the same since 60 years now almost, so, but yeah, it has changed a little bit. You get recognized, but I mean, I'm still no king of anywhere, but I still need to get there. Maybe I don't make it to be a king, but you know how it is, and anything, if the fans like it, that is why we are doing it. That's always my opinion, and no sport without the fans can exist.
But even, did it change even, I understand when you arrive to the tracks and there's a lot of fans, but even being there, did it change, or is it more outside of the sport that changed for you, or both?
Both, but going to the track, it's because at the track there is people which know F1, and I think if you know F1, I would say 90% of the people which know F1 know me, and it changes. Sometimes it gets quite crowded when I go to a race. It's completely different than before, because before obviously the hardcore fans know you, but there was not this effect, this shouting and things like this. That has come a little bit with with having a younger generation, not the old traditionalists watching F1, so.
Right. But did it change the way you approached your work at all, or?
Not at all.
Not at all.
And it's the same when people say, when you did that, when they filmed that, I didn't do anything different. The only thing I did, put the mic on, and that was it, And I'm actually so simplistic, I forget that I've got a mic on, and I say stuff I shouldn't be saying, with the mic on, and they obviously used it, but...
Do you think they had to edit you the most because of all the swearing, or not really?
I don't know how much the other ones, but I think, and just, I didn't watch any of it. I don't watch it. No, I don't watch it, no.
You were awesome.
I refuse to watch it, and because I always think if I watch it, I'm not an actor, I don't learn anything out of it. If you're an actor, you watch yourself.
Yeah.
So you learn how to do it better next time,
Yeah.
I just go with it.
But to have the crew from Drive to Survive, all the cameras there, because obviously there's a lot of things you want to keep secret from the other teams, or even you don't want certain information to come out. Did you have to think about that, or not really? It was easy to separate what needs to go on TV and what needs to be a secret, so to speak.
It's very easy, because normally the secrets are in the engineering room, and when the debriefs are happening, they are not allowed in there, and then you just disconnect your mic. But after a while, even that you forget. But the people which do the filming, the box-to-box people, they are very good at it, not to use anything you don't want them to use. They know exactly what they can do and what not, because the last thing they want to upset you, because then they don't get the best out of you, you see. So they always try to work with you, So if there is something, you had the mic on and you say, guys, cut this one out, because we don't want anybody to hear this. Like when you had the strategy meeting, on a Sunday, you need to trust the people if they film it, that they are not going to tell anybody else.
Yeah.
Would you, as a group at Haas, did you embrace when the question came in, we're going to do this show, we're going to record, we're going to be around you guys, did you embrace it? Like, okay, this is a great opportunity for us? Or was it more, that's annoying to have people running around filming and interviewing everyone? And we had similar projects within hockey, Road to Winter Classic. I remember the first time we had that. It was kind of odd in the beginning to have people in team meetings and following guys around. To me, I just felt like I hope everyone can be themselves. Mm-hmm. Certain players are more used to have media around, but certain people kind of freeze up a little bit. And I think that's the biggest thing when you have a crew around you. Can everybody just relax and be themselves? And because in the end, you need to perform, right? But for you guys, did you embrace the whole experience?
It was very weird, again, how this all happened. When F1 made the proposal to the team principal, some of the teams the first year they didn't participate, Ferrari and Mercedes, because they were, how should this work? We make our own TV series, By the way, the second year they couldn't wait to be on it,
Of course.
So, of course, how it happens, But in the beginning, I wouldn't say, first of all, we were the smallest teams, and whatever I said, nobody cared anyway, So the best is you go with the flow and say, hey, let's do it. And I'm always a person who say, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we just don't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as this. Instead of debating, should we not, let's try to do things, If they work, fine. If they don't work, if there is no, because if it wouldn't have worked, would have to be there a negative? No.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody would have watched it. Yeah, okay. So, okay. It's all negative. There's nobody watching it, So I always, for these things, I'm always very open. Like with the sprint races, we had the same. Some people said in F1, the sprint races, they are not good. And guys, sometimes we can do simulations and look into it and make studies and project groups on it. Let's try to do it. If it doesn't work, don't do it anymore, and that's always my way in life in general, and that's why I said I wasn't like, we have to do this. I said, let's do it.
Yeah.
Fine,
Yeah. Were you surprised the impact the show had on the sport?
I knew it was like this. I didn't. No, I was very surprised. I mean, I think there is, if anybody says this was what they expected, I don't believe it, because nobody could expect this. I mean, this happens once in a sport's lifetime, to get a boost like this. And we don't have to forget it was at the right time as well. Obviously for society it wasn't the right time because we had COVID, a lot of people died. I'm not saying it's the right time, but for a TV series, a long one, people were at home, they watched everything, they were quarantined, they watched everything and more. So it was like everybody watched it, and which maybe other people, maybe they wouldn't have watched it because they didn't have the time. But in quarantine, what are you doing all day long?
You had a captive audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, I had a couple questions about the show, but if you haven't watched it, but maybe if you talk to the drivers, I want to know if it is it 100% the way it is, or do you think it was made for TV? So a lot of BS stuff that you build up just for the drama. Me and Jay, we talked about it before you got here. I wonder if they build up these small incidents to create better TV experience. Do you know how close you are to reality?
I didn't watch it, and what people tell me, obviously they are good filmmakers.
Yeah.
They get an opportunity to pump something up. It is a show business, and I think they do that. But have they really staged anything? No. Because, and sometimes when you do these sit-down interviews, they ask you questions. But then again, you as a person, I said no to them quite a few times. And they know exactly, because after you work with these people for years, which is the same people, they know you, But for me, it was like, no, we're not going to do this because this is a staged scene you want me to do. I'm not going to do it, because you know exactly what they want to do because there was something before. And it's in your own control. So what I did was not staged. For example, when I had them at my house, I cooked for them, but because I don't have a chef, I'm sorry, so somebody has to cook, So that was the good reason. But it wasn't staged because I normally cook at home anyway, So it is like things like this. So I didn't stage, and as I said, I didn't see the rest of the stuff. But I'm pretty sure that they never had a script, of anything what happened. They took advantage of maybe a scene or something which happened to make it bigger than it was, but it's
enhance
a good
everything.
Enhance it, because that is what the people want to see.
Yeah, it's funny, the commentary this season, even live in the booth, when there's the McLaren drama this year between drivers prioritizing Lando over Oscar, like the Netflix effect is so powerful that now the live commentators, like Martin's like, I can't wait for this to be played out on Drive to Survive, and it's feeding itself, which is, I think, like lightning in a bottle. You don't get these opportunities to like, people are looking forward more to the postmortem and the recap than they are the finish of the season. It's this, maybe that's a reflection on society and how we.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a reflection. That's what we want. That's what people want. I mean, they just do what people want. If the audience is out there, that is what they want. That is what you're giving them, Yeah. It's like, I mean, I say it's a reflection of society, how quick you actually live, and what we want. We want just this big hypes, big short hypes,
Guenther, you mentioned before you trusted the cast and the crew of Netflix, which I'm sure is true, but Formula One has never really been a place for trust between independent parties. So in the mid 2000s, was it Spygate between Ferrari and McLaren? There's this huge scandal where there's like the entire plans for a car were smuggled in espionage. And they found it at a copy center and outside of it was wild. There's a huge podcast series on the BBC. You have to, it's like a true crime, unbelievable thing. But wouldn't the best drama of this whole thing be if there was a spy in the Netflix cast that they then turned into another show about betrayal in F1? It feels like it's going to happen.
You're getting ahead of yourself here, you're getting ahead of Netflix. I mean, if you're onto something here, you should have not said it on the.
I know. Netflix, if you're listening, just give me a call. I have the whole storyboard ready.
Exactly. Yeah, he had the script. The script is ready.
Listen, we missed you on the show. I thought you were amazing on the show, but I want to know. Okay, so you left Haas in 2023. You released a book. You work for the Miami Grand Prix. How's life treating you now? Kind of the next chapter in life for you.
Life is good. I mean, it was again one of these things in my life. You mentioned the book. I never thought I was going to do a book in my life, but somebody approached me to do a book. The book was very successful for a book. I had no idea about the book. I wrote it with a ghostwriter. Mm-hmm. So. But it all went very well. And last year, after I left Haas, I was like, I'd take a little bit, 10 tough years behind me, So I said, I'd take it a little bit easier a year, I'm okay, I've got my own company, so my business partner runs it, so I cannot mess it up, by the way, so I leave it like this. So, but anyway, I said, I do a little bit slower. And then the day it was announced, people started to call me, hey, Guenther, you want to do this, you want to do that? And the beginning it was like, guys, give me 2 weeks. I need to get my head around this, what I actually want to do. Because I haven't thought about it, because my plan was to do nothing, a lot of nothing, know, so... And then, it kept one thing to the other. I said, maybe otherwise it gets boring. And it just kept on going, and I'm doing TV now and a little bit like you. I'm not as good as you, by the way, because I watched you, Can I tell, I watched hockey because, I love hockey. We come to that later.
Yeah.
But you're on TV, and where's this guy from? He sounds like an American, but is he an American or not? Because I'm living here 18 years, and if you listen to me, I mean, I'm not
born
American.
Here? No, I can hear that. Slight accent.
Slight accent. No, you guys have got an accent. I always say I'm accent free, but and then I googled you, because then I knew where you were. But I found it amazing your English here. How it was on TV. It was like. I could hear a little bit, but and then obviously in the name, but I said, maybe you're an immigrant, you're born here or something like this, but how you did it, I don't know. And my hat off to that one,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like, I couldn't believe it.
It comes out. You will hear it throughout this interview. There's certain words that I struggle with.
No, but when I listened really hard, I could hear it. But not like with me. You don't have to listen hard. you have to listen hard to understand what I say, maybe. But anyway, going back to what I'm doing TV for the German TV, and everything. Last year I went to half of the races, which is the right amount, because I think. Running a team is nice, but what you would miss if you don't go in there is the people, because I've been around the same people. It must be the same with you. You worked in a team, you have got people, this is you, where you spent a lot of your life in there, in what you did before. And it's good to be around it,
Absolutely.
Maybe you don't want the day-to-day pressure of it, but being around it is pretty cool. And doing it in a position, obviously, being on TV is responsibility. It's not as easy as people sometimes think,
Sure.
But it's not, it's different. But no, I'm enjoying it quite a bit, what I'm doing.
And obviously you have so much experience within the sport. Do you feel like that really helps you now working on TV and kind of use all the knowledge you everything you learned over the years. I guess it's one thing to work within the sport, and now when you talk about it, that's what I'm feeling now working on TV. How do I get my information and my view on the sport out so the viewer understands? Am I talking to the expert or am I talking to the beginner? And to find that balance, I think that's the trick. Sometimes that when we're done with a segment, I ask them, like, was that too complicated? Do they understand what I'm talking about? Because in my world, you talk to other hockey players, for example, throughout my career. And same for you. You've been working in the industry. And now how do you decide at what level, how technical can you be? That's my question. Yeah. That was a long one.
That's fine. You know what I struggle most, because I mean it must be the same for you, because you know what you're talking about so good. It's like, and I always think people know anyway because I know, and I'm always careful, not to say the obvious, but I need to get used to that. I need to give them information what I think it's. Yeah, this is why they did it. It's pretty normal, No, I need to explain it why it is like this, because people out there haven't done this the last 30 years in their life,
Sure.
And then how deep you go, because technically in F1 it's very difficult, because if you go too deep, how a tire warms up, inside, outside temperatures, you confuse people pretty quick, on TV, on national TV. And you need to be careful, but you need to give them, I need to think about it, and as you said, people think it's easy. You just talk, but you need to give the people information which you think they want, and not too much, not too little and not too much, to find the happy balance there.
And probably especially now with so many new viewers, going back 10 years before Netflix, you had a lot of so-called experts watching that follow the sport for a long time, but now you suddenly have a lot of people watching it for, not the first time, but a couple of first times, right? Yeah. So again, you're talking to both beginners and experts.
I think the right balance is like the 80-20 rule. Even in the new audience, like there's 20% of them that really want to go deep. And just like in baseball, or like the reason baseball has such a rabid following is because there's like the love of the pastime. And then there's the psychopaths that dig into all the stats, the sabermetrics part of it. And I think that like having you on RTL or Bernie on the F1 feed as a former strategist, like providing that deep dive is like a way to pull like the pastime people into something that could be an obsession, and engage with the website, engage with, go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's also like a good measuring stick when you're at a cocktail party talking about F1. If you know about how fast a tire warms up, you seem cool. But there's
nobody would know if you get it wrong or not. Exactly. Because nobody's really interested after the F1 race how the tire warms up.
Yeah, and I say that because there's so many new F1 fans in my friend circle that were never F1 fans asking me questions about, like, during a race, like, what does that mean? So I think there is a hunger for people, whether it's F1 or hockey. All the feedback we ever get when Hank's talking through hockey or gear or technique is that we want more of that. Like there's this passion about going deeper, and I don't think you really excommunicate the casual fan at the same time. I'm not sure if it's a worry.
So go deep?
80%, not like 80% broad, 20% deep. That's my...
Okay. All right, that's good
rule
advice.
of thumb.
Yeah, all right. It's always I'm
Again,
here to learn,
I'm just full of ideas
Jay,
this morning.
you.
Whatever,
Exactly.
I mean, take them or leave them.
But it's funny because when we do go to races, just what you said, our group of buddies, we tend to watch the race and then Jay, what happened there? Like what's going on? Because how long you've been following F1?
Since like the mid '90s, when I was in like ninth grade.
You said something very interesting. Your first race.
My first live race, I was working in Melbourne, and that used to be, and it is this season, the season opener. It was always Australia, Adelaide or Melbourne. Now it's usually Bahrain. But so Melbourne, I happened to be working. I got to go to the race for the first time. It was actually, I was mistaken. It was Jaguar's first race, the Ford factory team's first race in F1. And Guenther was the team principal of that team, but not in 2000.
Exactly, not in 2000. I was there in 2002, a little bit later.
But I was also at that race. So I was at your first race, but I was also there in 2002.
Good.
Yeah, so.
Okay, so it seems like you're really enjoying this new chapter, but do you miss the adrenaline from, running an F1 team?
The only time the adrenaline, which gets you going is when the cars, for example, go out for qualifying, because that for me was always the coolest moment. Because once the race starts, you have to build up. You're on the grid, You're worn out once they get going. And what can you do? Nothing. Yeah. But when the cars go out on a single lap, that is a cool moment, And it's not like that I sit there and dwell over it. But that is where, and then the cars go out and then I forget about. But once they, because in your head, you're sitting on pit wall, they're starting the engines, now it's, on the table, what on the table,
Yeah.
So, and it is just a good moment, that one. And that is where that moment I maybe miss, but then you go into your routine and you watch it and it's fine, But it's because I've done it a long time as well. But, it's... but I'm not sitting there dwelling, I want to go back. No, I'm fine. I've done it,
I assume it's a pretty stressful position to have. Are you good with stress? Handling stress?
I'm pretty good, no. Otherwise, you cannot do it. And I think you were an athlete in the goalie, you're always under the spotlight, because if you get it wrong, you pay for it, It's not like
can't hide.
You can't hide. It was you, but you wanted to do that. It is the same at team principle. If you just want a job, do not go and do it. You wanted to do it, and if I want to do something, I need to be sure that I can cope with the stress, with the work, with everything. And it's nothing else. As I said, I worked a long time in motorsport, and I didn't go in as a team principle. You work your way up. You get used and more like nothing else in your sport. You play as a kid. You move up, and then you end up to being the king, And everybody watches the king, So, but it is stress, but it's positive stress. For me, It was like. I liked it, Yeah, we will have problems, but this is what I want to do. And therefore, it doesn't get to me. Obviously, it gets to you because if you have stress, you need to think about what to do. But it's not like that I get panic or something like this. Yeah, I get maybe a temper outburst, but that goes away. And then I realize, actually, I was pretty stupid. But sometimes you need to let steam off. But I was never afraid if I did something or said something to somebody I shouldn't be saying, to go back and ask for apologies, because it's like, hey, it got away from me, the pressure is high, I realize, and that moment I did that. If I would go back, would I do the same? No, but that's why I come back and say apologies. I did something stupid, Hey.
Yeah, and it's funny, like now I'm 4 years out since I retired, and the stress and the pressure is what I miss the most. But when I played, it was a part of there were days that, I enjoy it, but there were also days I thought it was tough, to deal with that, the expectations and the pressure. But now being away from it, I realized that, wow, I loved it. It made me feel alive to, you have to perform the expectations from people around you. Again, the ups and downs, days where you enjoyed it, days where you didn't enjoy it.
Right.
But now, looking back at it, to realize it was such a big part of my life and I lived with it, I do miss it. Yeah,
you said earlier, Guenther, like you don't take this job if you don't want to be the one throat to choke, right? And I think the difference is like the mindset is like I get to do this versus I have to do this. And if you ever think I have to do this, then you're in the wrong job. But if you say I get to do this,
exactly. But
that's the.
But I think also with you when you now think back, it was cool, but that was what you got here. You still had something out of it,
Right.
You still have got a good life, It's always good, It's like just sometimes you need to move on. You cannot in life always do the same,
Right.
Because that as well is not fulfilling, I think, Sometimes you have to change a little bit, speed up or go left or right, do something, I'm always that feeling as well, because just keep on doing things just to do them because you identify with yourself what you're doing.
Right.
But I don't do that, There's other challenges in life as well,
Do you guys, this is a question for each one of you, but you both, like sports, whether it's motorsports or hockey, it's the highest structure, even more so than corporate America or corporate world. Like you come from a very regimented world. Do you find yourselves in this new chapter thinking less about what comes next or what feels good or what you should do? Or do you still overthink and optimize and analyze every decision like you were in your last role?
You go first.
No, I think the biggest thing that changed was I think more about time and what makes me happy. I felt like when I played, there was only one lane, and it was everything was obvious to me. I do this because, You prioritize the game, hockey, so much. So everything was very clear to me what I needed to do, what I wanted to do, because I wanted the best result possible. Now life is it's a lot more, it changes from day to day, and directions, and again, time management is on my mind a lot more. It's just a different way of living completely for me. It's refreshing that I kind of changed, but also it was easier when I played to make decisions because I knew exactly where I wanted to go all the time. And now it's kind of, let's see where this takes me, and let that grow. And then the meeting people or different types of experiences will lead to other things. I didn't live like that. I lived like one foot in front of the other constantly to get that result I was looking for. If that makes sense.
It makes sense. Guenther?
Very similar. When you run an F1 team, the only thing, if you wake up in the morning, I need to do this, this, and this for the team. You just think on that one. And now being out of it, you said one thing, overthinking. I still overthink now things I shouldn't. They are pretty simple, but I make them difficult for myself, and I don't know why. And sometimes the simplest things are getting the most difficult ones. I mean, it's very weird for me, like making a travel schedule. I mean, it takes me forever to decide. Before it was like, okay, I need to be at this Grand Prix. It's easy. This is when I need to go. Now, because there is so many things going on in my life, it's like, I need to make a decision or wait a little bit because, and I hate procrastinating because I always think the worst decision is no decision. Because you make a decision, most of the decision you can change, not all of them. Sure. I'm aware of that one, but it's like, before you knew exactly what is expected from you, and you just did that one. And now it's like, I expect myself something from me, but I don't know really what, you know. So you're a little bit here, a little bit there, and it is different life. But and therefore somehow I don't want to go back in to have a full-time job as a team management because I quite enjoy to be a little bit left, right, center,
Sure.
to be a little bit more freer and try to make me happy, whatever I do.
Yeah. Yeah, I was asking because the other day, Hank, you asked me what my 10-year goal was. And so I've been thinking about that. And since I kind of had started my new chapter, I've kind of taken like a break. I don't want to try to I'm an overthinker, obviously. And so it's been this interesting period where I've been resisting the urge to overthink everything and to put structure in just because I haven't been out long enough to see whether this new path is actually helpful to me. Like that, because the results, it's just different. You don't measure the results the same way. You measure them on time and happiness and quality of life versus the business result we want to drive this quarter or this year.
Did you get an answer on the 10-year plan?
No,
I'm working on it.
I'm still thinking about it.
Exactly. You're still thinking on it. It's like kicking the can.
Left, right, center, up, down. That's where I'm. Yeah.
But sometimes it's best not to have a plan. I mean, a lot in my life happened without a plan. It's like things just happen. I mean, sometimes you just have to have the confidence that something good will happen, and to always work for the positive, and then I never had the plan to be a team principal in F1. I never had the plan to go to F1. I was in rallying,
Sure.
I was pretty happy there. I got a phone call. I went there, and then I just don't keep going. I'm not this structured to say in 10 years I will be an old man, by the way. So anyway, I don't have to have a 10-year plan anymore, but it's like, it's one of these things. It's like, as long as life is good and you keep yourself focused and motivated, sometimes a little bit of freedom gives you more opportunity than focusing on one plan,
Yeah.
So you touched on a rally. It's big in Europe, and for me, being from Scandinavia, Finland, Sweden, Norway, the good drivers. But can you talk about the transition from rally to F1? Can you compare the two? More than the fact they have four wheels, but is it completely different?
Yeah, it is completely different. It's it's like in athletics. It's running 400 meter, what you call it, where they jump over
steeplechase.
And the normal 400 meter. And people say, who are the better drivers? It's two different disciplines, in my opinion. It's the same like NASCAR drivers. They are different as well. The NASCAR, an F1 driver going into NASCAR, it doesn't mean that he's going to win in NASCAR. Yeah. It's the same like, I think the most complete drivers, or the drivers which can do everything, would be the rally driver, because they are always, an F1 driver, or if you drive on a racetrack, you always have the same, you learn a lot, you look at data. In rallying, you need the talent to get you out of trouble, because you can be in a position, you don't know where the road is going, what the conditions are, so you need a little bit more flexibility. I wouldn't say they are the best drivers, but they are the completest drivers of handling a car, call it like this.
Yeah. Throughout your career, who has impressed you the most in terms of driving? Do you have one driver who's like, that's my GOAT?
Colin McRae, he was the guy had such a natural talent. I mean, I wasn't a lot in the car with him, but when the guy was so, but not only the driving, also his confidence in himself, everything. I mean, the guy, obviously, I think sometimes he was overconfident, but the guy had no fear. I mean, it's like, but he could drive. The natural talent is like, I was maybe 2-3 times with him in a car. It's like, I wouldn't know where to start to do this, Sometimes you think, I can start. No.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this.
Do you know who Colin McRae is?
Yeah.
Scottish.
Scottish. I remember growing up. So he drove a lot during the 90s, maybe?
90s and early 2000s, I think he passed away in 2007, 2008, something like this, Or maybe it was even a little bit later, So.
Yeah.
But so growing up, like for me, getting into hockey, I love the intensity, I love the equipment, the competition. What drew you into racing?
I don't really know. I mean, I was just as a kid, I always was interested in racing cars. I love cars. And there's no family tradition in my family. And I'm coming from northern Italy, in the mountains, and as I said, I played ice hockey, because it was skiing or ice hockey in my place, There was no racing cars. There was nothing. I just had this love for racing cars, and but the family, my father, I mean, he, at the time, Niki Lauda was driving, so he was Austrian, we are close to Austria, so it was like a big thing, but he had no big interest, there was not, and I just always loved them, and I don't know where it comes from.
But did you drive a lot yourself growing up?
No. I never had the money to do that, and there was no chance where I lived that you could drive racing cars properly, so, but I didn't have the means or the money, I didn't have, you need a network to have to do something like this. I was on my own. I just watched it on TV, and my father, there was one hill climb race in the area where I lived, and he took me there once a year to when the race was on, but I when I was a kid, I just enjoyed it as a sport. I never thought I will end up working in it. It was one of these things where I come from. It's very, very strange that I ended up where I ended up.
Did that passion, though, draw you to the engineering discipline? Like figuring things out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I loved always cars. I loved to work with them and things like this, so.
Yeah.
So from rally to F1, I'm just thinking, when you look back at your career and everything you learned from both rally and F1, what's the biggest takeaways, and more so on the F1 side, leading a team? Is it a few things that you think back of, like, those are the big things I take away from having that experience?
My takeaway from my career is it's always like, I'm a person, I'm positive about things. If you want to make it happen, it will happen, You just need to work hard. And I always, and I was lucky in my life, I always, call it 99%, I had always jobs I like to do. Whatever I did, this is what I wanted to do. It was never, I had a few jobs where I wasn't really, I still did what I wanted to do. Maybe the environment was not perfect, but this is what I wanted to do. And I think if you can, for me, that's a big achievement in life, to be able to do things which you like to do, not to have to do them, It's the same like sitting here with you guys. For me, I really enjoy to be with you guys, otherwise I wouldn't do it. Now I can just pick if I do it or not. But at the time, when you're younger, I couldn't pick, My background is very normal, I had to do a job, but I always got a job. I always found a job that I enjoyed what I did, whatever it was, because it had to do with racing cars, and that is what I loved.
Yeah.
Proudest moment?
I would say my proudest moment was when we debuted with Haas, because it's in 2006 in Australia. It's one of these things. I mean, I started off as a mechanic in racing, in rallying, and then, and at the time I didn't realize it. You realize it afterwards. To set up an F1 team, out of your kitchen with a business plan, go around, found an investor, and build it then up, and then go to a race. It's pretty cool, And but I'm not only proud for myself; I'm proud for the whole team, because I think back on that time we worked day and night, but not. There was people working a lot harder than me on it, to make it happen, and I'm very proud of them. What was achieved that, because it's one of these things. If somebody would have told me when I was 15 or 20 years old, you will be setting up an F1 team. I mean, right. How can you do that? It's not possible. Then you do it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. For our fans listening at home, I think there's two ways to get into F1 as a constructor, right? And they're both very hard. And they're both very hard because there's a fixed pie of money and nobody wants to share the money, basically, right? So you can either buy an existing team and put a sticker on it, right? Somebody that's done all the engineering, and you kind of rebrand it, and we've seen that happen a lot. Or you can petition for a new entry, which is harder. And I think the plan was to buy a car at first for the Haas entry, but you guys ended up going the really hard route and doing it from scratch. Yeah. That was kind of unprecedented for years and years, maybe 20, 30 years.
It's still around the team. It was something. It's just one of these things here. Normally somebody wants a team, as you say, he goes and buys a team, but I didn't have the money to buy a team. I could, and people said, how you convince Mr. Haas to do this? I said, you cannot convince somebody. What you have to convince him, that if he wants to do an F1 team, you are the person which can do it. And that I convinced him with my business plan. I said, this is how I would do it. And there was a few things in there which were different than other people did, which failed, because there was a lot of people which failed doing it, lost a lot of money by doing it, And I said, I can do it, but obviously I need money to do it, because I don't have the money,
Yeah. Speaking of that, there's always a kind of a higher boss that you're answering to. Given Gene's success in business in NASCAR, how much expectation management was required in those early years going into a field of established teams?
It's quite a bit, and I would say I think in the beginning we were very good with it, because the results were there, So, but it's always when you have an investor, call it whoever it is, an entity, a person, there's always expectations, because it's a lot of money. To do F1 is a lot of money. It's not, and normally what always happened, either people run out of passion because the results were not there, or they run out of money because they couldn't find the money. So it's always to try to keep that one going. And obviously you need to do some management. It's not easy, but it's part of the job again. It's that it's every job has got its downsides. So but. Again, take them into positives, try to do the best and explain what you're doing. Be always honest about it, what you're doing and why you're doing it, and then you don't have to hide for nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've seen in the NHL over the last few years, new teams come into the league. You built a brand new team. What was important for you when you start from scratch, really? Okay, I'm going to build a great team here. What were the important building blocks for you to create great culture and again, have a great team?
People, the people you take in. For me, it's all about it's a team. It's about the people you've got there, and you said the right thing to establish a culture that they work together. Which is in every competitive, like NHL, as you say, it's competitive. Everything is competitive because just the best ones survive. And to keep that they are competitive, but not against each other. They need to be competitive against the other people. So you need your team to and to keep them focused that they fight the other people and not each other. I always at Haas I interviewed. Maybe I missed 2% of the people I didn't interview, which we took on myself. But just the last interview, just for 10, 15 minutes, just to see if they fit the culture, not if they can do the job. Once they come to me, because, an engineer, I cannot check which software he can use. I mean, there's better people than me in the team to check that one. But for me, it was, will they fit the culture, because you can have the best engineer in the world, a nerd, but if he doesn't work with the other team, with the other members, he's useless. because we need to get together, and that was my way of trying to get the best possible team together. Did I achieve 100%? No. I mean, we took on some people which didn't work out, but it helped, I think, to establish a good culture.
Yeah. So now you're more on the outside as an expert on TV. You work for the race in Miami. Where do you see F1 go from here? Is focus still on the US to keep building, or is there parts of the world where you see there's an opportunity to grow even more?
I think the US in the moment, the most important is to stabilize, because growth like the last 5 years, you cannot sustain that, John. It was too big, it was too big. Stabilized is already success, and F1 knows that. And I think there is potential to grow in Asia. I mean, Asia, India, China, there is a lot of potential, a lot of people there, which is still territory which hasn't been achieved to get there. So there is still a lot of growth can happen.
Yeah. I've heard talk of Africa as well, South Africa especially, as it being a prime.
I think Africa, there should be a race to start off with. I think it's a world championship. It's a global sport, but on one continent, F1 is not, and that's Africa.
Yeah.
All the other continents, F1 is in it. So I think there is a need to go to Africa. Obviously, there's a big potential there as well. Yeah. But first, you need to get a race there. In Asia, you got all races. Now you need to get the people to watch it. In Africa, we actually need to go there to show that F1 is present in that continent, because it's very important.
Yeah, I think it's a zero-sum thing, though, because you can't have 30 race weekends. It would be nice to have a race in every single place that wants it or that will pay for it, but I think there's a human limit to like the logistics and traveling around. How many races are on the calendar now?
24.
And it used to only be 20. And
so it was 16 in the 16, in the early 2000s. There was 16 races, Yeah. And it has grown a lot, and it's getting difficult, but the appetite from the people is there to watch it.
Yeah. How did you? Like you said, once it starts, it's every weekend. It's so intense. How did you get away from? How did you recharge hobbies, or once the season started, were you going until the season ended?
No, what I normally do, I don't do a lot of things. I don't have a lot of hobbies, I stay with my family. I just go back home, and take my time off, just chill out, or whatever you want to call it, just do a lot of nothing. Well, a lot of nothing is still doing your normal stuff, but not getting in the under the pressure of delivering something on a race weekend. When I had time off, I just went home and stayed at home, and enjoyed the time with my family.
So being involved in F1, success, it's very black and white. Every weekend you get a result, right? You can analyze it. How do you view success now? Like what is important to you now?
I think what is important to me now is, for me, did I do the right thing? It's like, obviously you can watch numbers when you're on TV, how much, but they don't mean a lot to me, because that is not my expertise, watching TV ratings and numbers. I mean, I can look at the numbers. I don't know what they mean, because I have nothing to compare. It's not my industry. But for me, it's more like I always, how I see it, I always try to do my best. Whatever I do, I go in there to do the best I can give, And if that, for me, if I achieve that, I'm happy. Maybe it wasn't good enough. I think everybody has got a limitation, It can be that somebody says, no, that wasn't good. That is not what we expected. Okay, it's fine. I tried my best. I need to do something different, or change something, But for me, success now is just like, did I work hard to achieve what I wanted to achieve? Yes. And normally then it works out to be okay, So that is what makes me happy,
Yeah. Speaking of kind of working hard on something new, how did the Miami GP ambassadorship come about? And for me, the first race, we already established I'm a traditionalist and I hate everything that's new in F1. But for me, the first Miami race was like a little bit on the nose from like what we expected Drive to Survive fans to want. Like the Lagoon and the VIP, and it was like
old style.
But tell me about like what the approach was and what you're trying to get out of that race.
I think to Miami, obviously last year, Miami, I got to know Tom Garfinkel and Tyler Rapp. They run the Miami race and Mr. Ross, and they approached me to be ambassador. But before, what was the thing for me was like, for me, bringing F1 to the States was very important. I live here since 18 years. I saw there was momentum. Obviously, if you think you're bad by being a traditionalist, you don't have to come to F1 because if something is new, it can just be wrong. We have to start off with it cannot work. Everything will be bad, So anyway, I always go in, as I said before, eyes wide open, try to find the positive, Miami put on a very good race for the first. To put on an F1 race is not easy. Obviously, there was challenges in the first race. What got me with Miami is like the second year, all the shit they got, basically, they fixed everything and better than expected. It's amazing. And, it wasn't bad the first year. I mean, we made it look bad, because everybody wanted it to be bad, but they reacted to it. Oh, they think it's bad. We need to fix it. And they fixed it more than everybody expected, and all of a sudden it's one of the best races, the second year around, So and I think these guys, they do such a good job in always moving forward, And when they ask me, you want to do this, I said, yeah, you are the right Grand Prix for me because I see that you are not just talking, you're actually walking, So and I like that, from people saying, hey, if somebody says this wasn't right, you know what? I'm going to fix it for you. And instead of debating it, I'm going to fix it. And that's what Miami did. And now I say it to a lot of people, Miami has become, an established Grand Prix. It's like it was there forever, because, and they keep on raising the bar for other Grand Prix. We shouldn't say that too loud because they all try to do stuff which Miami does because people like it, because everybody has good feedback from it, like the Lagoon and all that stuff. Everybody tries to bring some entertainment in, but not everybody has got Miami at their footsteps because it's a pretty cool city, So, but a lot of these other racetracks, they're good racetracks, but they had it, I would say, too easy. They never had to put effort in and said, we are a traditional racetrack. We will be always here because
like Monaco.
Monaco or Spa.
Spa.
The traditionalists say F1 has to go to Spa. No, it doesn't have to. Nobody deserves. I always think in life in general, you need to work for everything. Nobody deserves anything. Say, did he deserves to be in Formula One? Mm-hmm. No, but if he does a good job, he should be there. I'm not saying no, but he's not deserving. Nobody's entitled to anything. Like just because you have been on the calendar for 50 years, it doesn't give you an entitlement for the next 50 years.
Right.
So the only difference is once you're the king, you're always the king.
Very true. Don't I know it? So what's the mandate for you personally? Like, what are you focused on with the Miami race?
Just to let people know what actually is happening and tell the story, because I was there from the beginning with Miami GP. I was there the first year when, there was issues and they needed to be fixed, but also tell people what is happening, because obviously I've got the following, and just explain to people how Miami always comes up with to do things better and to give more. Obviously, they've got a big advantage as well. They've got a football team and to put a good show on. NFL is a good place to start off with, and a lot of people outside of the US don't know that, but once they get exposed to it, people like it, what is put on. So Miami can use a lot of their experience of all the events they put on there to bring it to F1. Then F1 as a sport and entertainment grows, and my role is just to help to bring this message to the people.
Yeah, great.
When you get the message. Don't be a traditionalist. Miami GP is the future.
I'm kind of faking the traditionalist thing. Like I appreciate the Liberty Media era. I'm just kind of being the pundit. But I like the new stuff too.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I had a great time in Miami race last year.
Yeah.
So
I've heard amazing things. I was, but I was just kind of playing the foil. You know what? A member of Guenther's team told me that before you leave, you have to show us the lock photo on your iPhone because
I don't have it with me.
Oh.
He left it outside. Yeah, no. Now we talk about ice hockey. Now it's my turn. I take over here.
The floor is yours.
So I played ice hockey when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I played as a goalie as well.
I heard that.
Yeah, I was not as good as you. I mean, I have to tell that because otherwise I would be the king.
You're the Prince of Tyrol.
Yeah, I don't know if I make it to the Prince. I mean, no, I actually stopped pretty early playing because we don't discuss that reason why I stopped. But I still go and watch, the F1’s of Bolzano, and I call it the Alps League. It's called something different now, but I went there in December. I love it, and I went on with the Canadians, Montreal Canadiens, 2 years ago. They invited me to go when I was in Canada on the ice, and they gave me a complete new goalie thing. How stiff they are when they're new.
Yeah. So everything was brand new.
Everything was brand new.
Oh, that's tough.
And I don't remember his name. He's the goalie of the national team in Canada.
Corey Price?
No. He plays also.
A newer one?
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but the captain of the Canadians was there as well, and we went on the ice for an hour. And I tell you, I enjoyed it, and I'm not exaggerating. It was one of my, if not the best hour of in the last 10 years I had in my life.
Way.
Wow.
I was sweating. I was like wet. I'm so unfit, because I wasn't on the ice for 30 years, and going into all that stuff just to get into it. So, I go out there in the goal, and, I can see the reflexes. And, I'm talking at a very small level compared with you, King. Anyway, but on the hands they could see that I played, because when you never played, you watch where the puck is. You don't watch, you know where the puck is when it leaves. You just. Then I did one thing. I went on my knees. When I was young, it is.
So your body was it holding up or not really?
I couldn't get up anymore, but when you were young, can you still get up? Can you still get up when you're on your knees and jump up? And you can still do it.
My body, so this year I played 3 games, like charity games. And actually, body is holding up, which is, I never thought I would be playing after I retired, but I actually really enjoy it. And you said you were so happy, like you really enjoyed it. To me, being back on the ice is almost like meditation because it's very simple as a goalie. You want to stop a puck. That's it. Mm-hmm. And it's everything else doesn't matter. So talk about a straight line of like focus and like blocking everything else. It's very refreshing.
Mm. No, it's very cool. And what you say, that's what actually happened. I saw them when they were not going hard. I mean, I wasn't in the goal since 30 years, they know. But they were not, they were, but, and they said, you can see it. But for me, it's just like, I was so disappointed in myself. I went down and I need some help to get up here, I was watching because they were filming. It was like, wow, how do I get out of this without embarrassing myself here, It was very difficult. And then I made sure I just get the top ones, and a little bit with the legs.
But 30 years, a lot has happened with that position in 30 years. Yeah, how guys move and the technique.
And how the equipment is built to support it.
Growing up.
But it was, I tell you, and my daughter, she went on the ice as well. They gave her a stick. She can skate, not very good, but my skating is still okay, When, as a goalie, you skate backwards as good as forward, Mm-hmm. So, or at least I do, So it's like, but no, I enjoyed it. And they gave me a helmet, a painted one. Piece of art. I was very grateful of that day.
Oh, that's awesome. Great. So outside of racing, are you a sports guy? You enjoy watching other sports?
Yeah. I really enjoy watching motorsports. I grew up. I'm doing this almost 40 years. I know. I wouldn't say I know everyone, but I know everyone which knows someone I know. Mm-hmm. It's like it's one of these things. It must be the same for you in hockey. If you know everybody in hockey and everybody knows you, it's one of these things. That is where my comfort zone is. Motorsport. I watch every kind of motorsport. I watch NASCAR. I watch IndyCars. I watch MotoGP. I just watch it. Maybe I'm not sitting there the whole day, but I follow it. I know what's going on, who is doing what. So, but other sports. My favorite sport out of motorsport is ice hockey, and as I said, I go normally when I'm back where I come from, northern Italy. I go to watch a game, with the local club, so.
You have to come watch a Rangers game.
Yeah, I went a Checkers game a few years ago, which is in Charlotte, but I never went to watch the Hurricanes in North Carolina. I never went to a NHL game, to be honest, So
next time you're in the city, you let me know. Yeah. I know a few people within Madison Square Garden.
Exactly. I get a ticket, to watch on I never watched, the Checkers were on the small field, exactly,
Next time. Well, listen, if you turn around and look at everything you've done, if you could do it all over again, would you change anything?
No. No. I mean, obviously, hindsight, I would be stupid saying I wouldn't make different decisions maybe because now I've got the benefit of the hindsight, but otherwise, I would say I would just do more of the same, It was pretty good, It's a good ride,
Yeah.
Well, listen, Guenther, we're super happy that you made time for us here.
Yeah.
I know you still have a busy schedule, even though you left as the principal of the F1 team. But again, huge fan of your work. Love watching you on Netflix. So we miss you there. But again, thanks for coming by Club 30.
Real honor. Thanks.
Thanks for having me, guys. And as I said, for me, it was an honor to be here.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, the king.
Yeah,
I mean, sitting with, hey, who you want to sit in New York? With the king of New York,
Yeah.
That's the guy you want to
Just
sit with.
riding the
bring
coattails.
him with me all the time.
For PR. He's better than the
Feel great.
Well, hopefully we'll see you in Miami this spring.
Yeah. Hopefully, I will be there. It's you guys need to come. I have to be there. Because as you said, I'm a busy, unemployed guy. So.
Yeah, you got to make sure that everybody sees you working hard.
No, we'll shoot you a message if you're down there for sure.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
That was great.
A big thank you to Guenther for joining us here at Club 30 today. Takeaways, Jay, for you?
More passionate than I expected. I've seen a lot of Guenther on TV. Obviously, never met him in person, and he's just a real guy. I loved it. It felt like he I didn't realize how much of a hockey fan he was, which was really nice and a cool little sidebar. But I think I was most interested in your decision making and how that has changed from post retirement. Yeah. For each of you, and figuring out which is the right way to make decisions and find your path in the next chapter was the best part and the most interesting for me, outside of the nerdy F1 talk. How about you?
No, I enjoyed that part for sure. Going from very result driven decisions mindset to more life decision and passion, and it sounds like Guenther is really. He wants to be happy doing fun stuff, right? But I love this energy.
Yeah,
it was sometimes when we sit here in the studio, it gets a little hot and we talk a little slower. But with him, it was upbeat the whole time.
It makes a big difference, and I appreciated that too. I think that energy comes from. As I said, I was playing the pundit a little bit, the traditionalist, and there's some of that in me. But I also love the changes that have happened to the sport and how much it's grown and accepted new fans. And I loved what Guenther said about trying to always see the positive, and maybe we just try it, try something new. And I think that was kind of the capstone for me of the episode message.
Yep. Well, the big Miami Grand Prix is coming up.
Yep, in May.
You should go and check it out. I was there last year. We'll see if I can make it down this year. It's a spectacle. It's a great event. It's a lot of action. And you might run into Guenther.
Yeah, or Hank. Thanks again for joining us here at Club 30, all of our members. As always, if you liked what you heard or saw, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.